Daf Gimel Amud Beis will begin Gimel Amud Aleph, the bottom line. My Havala. We had a discussion earlier in the Gemara about whether in a Kara, in a Mavli, if part of it was above 20 amas, part was below, part was above. Similarly with the Sukkah, the Schach of the Sukkah, if part is below and part is above. So what's the Maskana? What's the Halach? Rabba Baravul Amar Zevazet possible. He says in both cases it's possible. But Rava Amar Zevazet kosher. But Rava says in both cases that it's kosher. Why is that? Why is it kosher? Because halal sukkah tanan. When we say that the schach can't be higher than 20 amas, the din by the sukkah is that the open space, the cavity, the halal of the sukkah cannot extend higher than 20. The open space has to be up until 20, not higher than 20. Memela, the schach, as long as the bottom edge of the schach is not higher than 20, it's kosher. And halal mavoi tanan. And similarly, by the mavoi, when it says the mavoi higher than 20, it means that the interior area, the halal of the mavoi, cannot be higher than 20. Memela, as long as the kaira, as long as the bottom part of the kaira is not above 20, then it's kosher. You have a Tana that supports what you're saying, because we learned if the mavoi is higher than 20 ams, higher than the pesach of the heichal, the opening of the heichal, then yimayit. It has to be reduced. The heichal gufa halal esrim, and the heichal in the base of mikdash, the heichal, the halal was, the open space was 20. It was 20 amas high. So therefore, what we refer to is referring to the halal, referring to the height of the open space. We're not referring to the height of the kaira. We're not referring to the height of the sukkah. When we say that the mavoi is higher than 20, the sukkah that's higher than 20, we're not referring to the height of the schach or the kaira. We're referring to the height of the halal of the open space. When you put the kaira on the entrance to the mavoi, how do you put it? It says that you put the kaira, you put the beam, misvas esrim, from the edge of 20 and below. That would imply that the kaira itself has to be within 20, that the kaira itself has to be. Now, the top part of the kaira would have to be not higher than 20, and the bottom of it, the thickness of it, would extend below to the space below, because it says, Maniach kaira misvas esrim. You put the kaira from the edge of 20, ulamat, and below, which is mashma that the kaira itself has to extend below 20 amas, not the halal. More says, Ema ulamala. No, say what it means is, ulamala. That it means that the bottom edge of the kaira is 20 and it extends up. But it says lamata. Gemara explains now. When it says lamata, it's not referring to the kaira that's at 20. What's coming to teach you that the height, the maximum height, is similar to the minimum height. That the mata, the minimum height, is like the maximum. Just like the height. It means that the halal is esrim. So when it says meniach kaira, it says meniach kaira misvas esrim, then it's meniach kaira misvas esrim. You put the kaira, and the bottom edge of the kaira is at 20. Ulamata is teaching you not that the kaira extends below. Ulamata, and it tells you the same din is by the minimum height of the kaira. So so the minimum height is when it can't be, the height cannot be less than 10 tefachim. It means the same thing, that after the halal has to be, there has to be a clear height of 10 tefachim. The minimum height has to be a clear height of 10 tefachim. So just like lamala, the bottom edge of the kaira, the bottom edge of the kaira cannot be above 20. So it has to be a clear height and it cannot have a clear height of more than 20. So too, on the bottom, it has to have a minimum height. It cannot have a clear height of less than 10 tvachim. So too, the kaira is placed at the bottom edge of the kaira is placed at a height of 10 tvachim, and it extends, the kaira extends up. Amar Rabbi Mishmei Rav Nachman, Amas Sukkah v'Amas Mavoi b'Amas Bas Chamisha, Amas Kilayim b'Amas Bas Shisha. An Amma is made up of either 6 tvachim or 5 tvachim. So Rav Nachman said that we go l'chumrah when we talk about an Amma, when an Amma is said in reference to a sukkah, or when it's said in the reference to a mavoi. So when you're saying it has to have the height of the mavoi cannot be higher than 20. So we take it l'chumrah. That means 20 Ammas times 5 tvachim. We don't use the 6 tvachim. That would be give a larger height, a higher height. We take the smaller Amma, which is the lower height. And similarly with the height of the sukkah. So the height of the sukkah, the halal, the open space, cannot be higher than 20. It means with each Amma of 5 tvachim, not 6 tvachim. But an Amma's kilayim is Bal Shisha. We also go l'chumrah, but there we say 6. Because over there we're talking about if you have in a kerem, in a vineyard, if there's an open space. So the discussion is how large is the open space where we would consider that open space an independent area and therefore allow you to plant another planting over there, which would not be kilayim. If it has a small open area within a vineyard, it's all part of the vineyard. So you can't plant chita, you can't plant wheat over there, that's kilayim. But if there's a large area, then we consider it to be an independent area, and you could plant another min. It's not kilayim. So over there, we also go l'chumrah, and we say, it has to be a larger area, and the amma that's said in reference over there is a larger area. So meaning it's a chumrah, you need a larger open space to be able to consider it an independent area to allow you to plant another min. So ammas mami babas bas chamish lamai hilchasa legayv. It's talking about the height. So meaning, if we measure it with a height of amma of 5 tvachim, so it means it's a chumrah. It's not higher. It's therefore 100 tvachim and not 120 tvachim. That's the maximum height. L'gaiva ulapirtzas mavai, or if there's an opening in the width, if it's more than 10, it's considered to be a broken open area. Again, it's 10 ammas by each one of 5 tvachim, 50 tvachim, not 60 tvachim. Well, what about the meshach mavi? The mavi has to have a depth. It has to extend in. It has to have the length of the street, of the side street. Now there it says arba amas. Now if you're saying that you go with an amma, the amma of a mavi is 5, then that would mean if it's arba amas, each one is 5 tvachim, that means it only has to extend 20 tvachim. And if you would say that it's 6, then it would be a chumrah to go and say it has to extend. No, it has to extend 24 tvachim. More says, Command Damar Barba tvachim. The one we're going according to the Mandamar says that the depth only has to be 4 tvachim, meaning Amma is not mentioned in that context at all. Here, the Mandamar says the depth of the mavoi, the street only has to extend, the length of the street only has to be 4 tvachim. So Amma is not mentioned in that context at all, so it's not relevant. It is going according to the Mandamar says arba amas. The Rav Amos comment didn't mean to say every single case, but Rav cases that we say by Movi, we say that we're going according. We say that it's the tefach is 5. The am is 5 tvachim and not 6 tvachim. Sukkah. Similarly, we have a similar discussion by Sukkah. Amma sukkah ba'amas chamisha l'may hilchasa. What's the again l'gayv to the height of the sukkah? That the height of the sukkah, we say it can't be, the open space can't be higher than 100 tvach, not 120 tvach. And for the locha of daifin akuma, if they have a sukkah that has a schach and it has a wall, and in between the schach and the wall, there's a schach posel up to a length of 4 amas, it's kosher. We look at it like this is all part of the wall. It's a bent wall. If this area between the gap between this kosher schach and the wall, that posel schach, let's say it's a sheet of metal, that posel schach is more than 4 amas, then you don't say dofen akuma. Now, if you're saying it's 5 tefachim, then we say then you have 20 tefachim. You can have a maximum. You can have a maximum width of 20 tefachim of posel schach to be able to say dofen akuma. So that's a chumrah, because if we'd say an amma of 6 tefachim, you'd have 24 tefachim of posel schach, and still be able to say dofen akuma, and still have a kosher sukkah. So we go l'chumrah. Well, again, you have the same discussion as we had before. A sukkah has to have an area inside. It has to have an area inside to be kosher. Now, it has to have a depth of 4 amas. So over here, you're being by saying by the amma of 5 tefachim, that comes out of kula. You can say even if it's so small that it only has 20 tefachim of depth, it's kosher. It doesn't need 24 tefachim of depth. So over here, it'll come out just the opposite. The Sanya Rabbi Aimer Ani Kol Sukkah She'ein Bo Dalet Amas Hal Dalet Amas Psula. He says the sukkah has to be 4 by 4, and it mentions amas. And in this context, you're saying if you say it's an amma of 5 tefachim, that will be a kula. You're saying the area of the sukkah could be smaller and still be kosher. More answers. Is going according to Rabbanan that no, they hold that the area of the sukkah has to be 7 tefachim by 7 tefachim. It has to be an area to able to contain his most of his body, roisha, his head, most of his body, and his table. So therefore, there's no mention of amma at all in that context. There's no mention of amma in the area of the sukkah. So therefore, it's not relevant. Rabbi, I'll tell you, is going to Rabbi V'roiv Amas Kalmar. And in the Chanami, in this case, we will not use the 5 tefachim measurement. We'll use the 6 tefachim. And he did mean every single case of sukkah. He said, right, most cases of sukkah. Now we said by kilayim we go the other way. We also go to chumrah, and we say therefore the chumrah is to use an amma of 6 tefachim. So because we need a larger area to allow you to plant another min and not consider kilayim, we need a larger area of open space. So what is that in the Gela? My hilchos lekarachas akerem and l'chol akerem. In the cases where you have an open area, literally a bald spot, in the middle of the vineyard, there's an open area where there's no planting of the grapes of the vines. So that bald area, that open area, how large is that area, the karachas? And l'macholakrim, on the edge of the kerem, if you similarly have a clear area on the edge of the kerem, between the end of the planting of the kerem and an open area at the end of it, between that and the wall. Desnan karachas kerem, how large is the area of that open area of the kerem which will allow you to plant another min? Beis Shamayim esrim amas, 24 amas, or Beis Hillel mishesh amas, and Beis Hillel says 16 amas. So they both agree that you need a clear strip on the edge of the vineyard. So if you have, we're talking about there's an open space in the middle, so there's a vineyard, there's planting of grapes here and planting of grapes here. There's an open area in the middle. You need an edge over here, clear edge, to allow for the work area for this side of it, a clear edge for this side of it, and then in the middle an open space which we would consider to be an independent field and allow you to plant another min. So Beis Hillel says you have 4 amas on one side, 4 amas on the other side, and if you have 8 amas in the middle, that's an independent area and you can plant in that middle area. Therefore, you need a total of only 16. Beis Shammai says, no, you agree that you need 4 amas on one side, 4 amas on the other side, but you need 16 amas in the middle to be considered a separate independent area. So they say you need therefore 24 amas. Mechol and what is the machlokes by the mechol kerem, where you have on one side a clear area, as opposed to the case before by the karachas, you have planting on 2 sides and an open area in the middle. So you have to therefore have to deal with the kerem planting on both sides. Here you only have planting on one side. There's a wall. Then you have an open space between the edge of the kerem and the wall. So what's the distance that you need over here? So Yomi Masechet Eruvin, they say 16 amas. You need a strip, like we said before, a strip of working area, 4 amas by the edge of the kerem. Now here you don't have another kerem, you have a wall. You need 4 amas at the edge of the wall, otherwise you'll undermine the wall and ruin it, so you have to leave that clear. Now here, since you only have a kerem on one side, you only need 8 amas clear area to be an independent field, as opposed to the karachas where you had on both sides, you needed 8 amas according to Beis Shammai to deal with this side, to planting on this side, 8 amas to be independent from this side. So over there you needed 24, but over here you only need 16. But Beis Hillel says you only need 12 because you need only 4 amas to the edge of the planting, 4 amas to the edge of the wall. And since there's only one area over here, 4 amas is enough to be independent from this one planting, from the planting on this side. You don't have planting on the other side, so you don't need 8 amas in the middle, only 4. So a total of 12. So here also, so we go to Chumrah and we say that the amma has to be 6 tfachim. You need a larger area, clear, open area to allow you to plant. A kerem that has an open, clear area in the middle. If you don't have a clear area of 16 amas, you can't bring another planting. But if it has, then you can just leave the clear area on the sides of the vineyards and you can plant the middle. That's the shita Beis Hillel. If you have an open space between the edge of the vineyard and a wall, then you can, according to Beis Hillel, if there's 12 amas, then you can plant. But if there's not 12 amas, you cannot bring another planting. According to Beis Hillel, if there's 12 amas, you leave a strip at the edge of the kerem, the 4 amas strip, which you don't plant. It's for the work area, and you plant the other open area, the rest of the middle open area. Again, you have to leave the strip next to the edge of the wall. So here we go to Chumrah and we say the amma is 6 tefachim. For the Gemara, well, I'll show you a case in Kalayim that we go the other way, and it should be if we use 6 tefachim, it'll be a kula. Vayika ritzufim ba'arba amas to kula. We have a case where if you plant it too close together, if you plant the rows of the vineyard too close together, then we say that it's not considered to be a kerem. It's only considered to be a kerem if it's planted in the proper formation of a kerem. If it's planted too close together, we don't consider it to be a kerem. And the distance that you have to keep away, the open area, in order to allow you to plant some other seeds, another planting, is less, because the area is not significant. It's not a kerem. It's only a row of vines. It's not kerem to all amas. If you have a vineyard that the rows are planted within 4 amas of each other, Rabbi Shimon Aimer ain't a kerem. Rabbi Shimon says it doesn't have a halach of a kerem. It's not significant. Therefore, the distance that you have to keep from each row, if you want to plant another planting, is only 6 tefachim, and then you can plant seeds, different seeds over there, and it's not kilayim. Chum say no, they don't make that distinction. They say even if it's planted too closely together, we still consider it to be a kerem. But you just the ones that are planted within the 4 amas space, that we look at it that they're non-existent, and we look at it, we view it the kerem is from only the rows that are planted within beyond 4 amas of each other, and the ones that are planted within the 4 amas, we look at it as non-existent. But al kopanim, according to Reb Shimon, he says if you have them planted close together within 4 amas, there's a kula that you can plant another seed over there. It's not kalayim. Now, if you use a planting of an amma rather of 6 tefachim, then you'll have you'll say as long as it's within 24 tvachim of each other, you can still plant another planting. It's not considered a vineyard. If you would say 5 tvachim, you'd say no. It's only if it's planted so closely together that it's within 20 tvachim. So it comes out to be a kula. The more answers Karban, don't have a kerem. He's going, Rav Nachman is going to the Rabbanan that it's a kerem, so it's not relevant. It's not negayah to this halacha. And anybody say you can even go according to Rav Shimon, and as we said before, that ein hachanami according to Rav Shimon. In this case, we would say that the amma that's considered, we'd be talking about an amma of 5 tvachim. Now, even though he said that by kalaim you go with an amma of 6 tvachim, he didn't mean every single case. The right amma's kamar. He only meant in the majority of cases, not in every single case of kalaim.